Hello and welcome to this Wednesday Wisdom. I'm Lori Stevens with Life Skills Prep Camp and Powerful Education Solutions. And today I want to continue the conversation around communication. And we've been talking about that for a couple of weeks. And on Monday, I introduced the subtopic of tone of voice. Because I know, and what we know about communication is that your tone of voice can impact the way that your words are received. So remember, we've talked about word choice and your intent in that way, but now we're going to circle back around and talk about our intention with our tone of voice. So once we decide we're going to communicate something, and sometimes we don't decide. So sometimes we're not aware of what our intention is in communicating, or sometimes we have an intention of just communicating information, but we didn't really stop and think before we opened our mouth, and we were in our head, and whatever we were thinking in our head, it comes out in a different tone, and then it's not received well. So being aware of your intent before you start communicating is a good idea. Okay, so there's like 4 different tones that ChatGPT has identified. The first one is a friendly tone, which is what I try to establish in these communications. The second one is an authoritative tone. Now that might sound like somebody's going and they're being authoritative and they're telling you, but it actually means that you know what you're talking about and you're trying to share that information. And this is where somebody had pointed out from my other videos that sometimes my tone comes across in a way of, I know better than you. And I went back and listened and they were right. And that was not my intention. My intention was just to share information and engage people in a conversation about the topics that I was sharing. So I was so grateful that the person shared that so that I can align my intention and my tone so the impact will hopefully be better. Please let me know in comments below if I met the mark on that. Okay, the next one is empathetic tone. So you don't want to be serious, being like, oh, I'm so sorry. You want to be truly, sincerely empathetic and concerned for the other person. Like truly, how are you? So that's an important piece to be aware of and how your tone comes across. Okay, so then the last one, which there are some people that really don't get this, so be aware, the sarcastic or ironic tone. Like, how could you not get that? Or it's a wonderful day in the world, isn't it? Or living in paradise when it's rainy and snowy or whatever. So that sarcasm, some people really don't get. Just be aware, sometimes they don't understand if you're being sarcastic. And I actually had to work hard on that for myself. So I know that it's a true thing. People aren't just being silly when they talk about that. Okay. So then we have a formal tone where you would call your mother, mother, and your father, father versus mom and dad, where you say Mr. or Mrs. and call them by their last name. So in school, you would have more of a formal tone with your teacher. Instead of saying, yo, dude, or brah, the students will address them appropriately with Miss or Mrs. or Mr. And have a more formal tone. And that informal tone is used with their peers. And the same is true for adults. We use informal tones more with our peers and perhaps more formal tones with our coworkers and maybe some people younger than us so that we're not teaching them inappropriate things. It just kind of goes that way. Okay, so let's finish up this conversation really truly with your intention. Okay, so when you go into a conversation and you want to talk, let's say you're in the kitchen and the dishes are supposed to be done by one of your children and they haven't gotten to it and you're trying to get to dinner and you're frustrated. You're not trying to necessarily upset the teenager when you're calling them, but you're upset. So now it's, would you come do the dishes? Your tone of voice is saying, I am mad. And then the kid probably doesn't want to come do the dishes because they don't want to be around you if you're mad. So if it's, come do the dishes, it's a different tone and it's, here it is, come do it. And while I'm using a firm tone, I'm probably also communicating, I'm a little frustrated because I just used that strong tone. So we can use tone to really communicate that it's really time and I'm frustrated and the next step is going to be even more, right? Or if there's a sense of urgency, like it's time to go and you've said already, come on, let's go, let's go. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. There's that sense of urgency with that tone and how we did it in our cadence. But what if there's a sense of urgency, but you don't want to upset the person? For instance, let's say they've hurt themselves. You see that it's pretty bad and you need them to get moving, but you don't want them to panic because you know it makes it worse. Your instinct is, okay, we gotta go, let's go, let's go. You can't do that, right? So you use that more confident, authoritative tone, like I'm in control, and okay, things are not looking great, but this is what we're going to do. And you use that calm tone, but authoritative, and they know that you're in control and they're going to trust you and come along with you. I had to do this once. I was in a car accident, and one of the people, she was a younger girl, was quite upset, and she was breathing hard, and she was hysterical, and she was crying, and I was afraid she was going to hyperventilate. So I used my teacher voice, my authoritative tone, confident, got her attention, and then, you're fine. I know it feels bad. We're going to breathe together. Ready? Breathe with me. And I had her doing it, and she calmed down, stopped crying, and we did not hyperventilate, which was good. But my tone communicated that I knew what I was doing and that I was in control, and that helped her gain control of herself. Okay. So who cares about all this stuff, right? My tone is my tone. People know me. They'll get over it. They'll just deal. Well, think about your conversations. Are they going the way that you want them to? Think about how you're saying what you're saying, not just the word choices, but the tone of voice. Are you being too casual? Are you being too formal? So if you're casual in a formal setting, you risk undermining your own credibility. So if you try to be too friendly with your kids, you're undermining your own authority because the kid knows you want to be friends with them. Be careful, because you're still the parent, and sometimes you have to be in control and tell them things that they don't want to hear. That's unfortunately part of our job. Well, then if you're overly formal in a casual setting, that risks alienating your audience and who's listening to you. So I've heard of a family where one of the dad requires his children to respond with, "Yes, Father." That doesn't show me a close bonded relationship. That shows me a dad that wants the children to respect him, but perhaps maybe he doesn't respect them back. And how does that open up conversation? So opening up conversation, changing your tone of voice might help with that. Another thing, and this goes back to word choice, but this is also important. If you want to encourage additional conversation, but you don't want to be the one doing all the talking, you could say something like, "Tell me more." Notice that was said with curiosity. Tell me more. If I said, "Oh, tell me more," probably not going to want to tell me a whole lot more. Or, "Oh," and that's all I have to say sometimes. And the student continues to talk. Or, "Ah," like a question, "Ah." And they're like, they fill in the blanks. So try that. "Oh, tell me more." "Ah." And make sure you're watching your tone with which you deliver it and see what you get from that. So let's practice just a couple. How about if you were using, you're apologizing in a casual tone. "Sorry about that. Let me fix it right away." We apologize for any inconvenience. Well, when I hear that, I'm not quite believing that. How about this one? Of encouragement. "You've got this." That's more casual, right? More reassuring. "You're making great progress. Keep going. You've got this." Excited versus reassuring. Okay, so different tones of voice. So this week, take some time, pay attention to your tone of voice, see how it lands, see if you get the result you were looking for, and make a comment. Come back, make a comment, let me know. And if you want to talk about this further, feel free to send me a message at Lori@LoriStevensLLC.com. I look forward to hearing from you.